The desert sun was sinking behind the Red Canyon walls when Ethan Cole guided his horse along the riverbank, the air thick with heat and dust. The river below him was nothing like the gentle streams he had known back east. It raged through the canyon, swollen by distant storms, its muddy waters crashing against jagged rocks as if trying to tear the land apart. Ethan planned to cross before nightfall, but something made him slow his horse. Then he heard it, a sharp, desperate cry carried by the wind. At first he thought it was an animal, but the sound came again, unmistakably human. His heart tightened as he spotted movement in the river. A woman was trapped in the current, her body spinning as the water dragged her toward a bend where the rocks rose like broken teeth. Her long black hair clung to her face, and her arms thrashed wildly, already heavy with exhaustion. She was drowning, without stopping to think. Ethan swung down from his horse and ran toward the river. The water was icy when he plunged in, stealing his breath as the current slammed into his chest. Each step forward felt like a battle. The river fought him, pulling at his legs, threatening to drag him under as well. He pushed on, eyes locked on the woman as she disappeared beneath the surface, then reappeared coughing and gasping. He reached her just as her strength gave out. Wrapping an arm around her shoulders, he fought to keep her head above water. The river roared in his ears, and for a terrifying moment, he thought they would both be lost. With every ounce of strength he had, Ethan forced them sideways, inch by inch, until his foot struck solid ground. He stumbled, fell, then crawled, dragging her onto the rocky shore. The woman lay still, her skin pale, her breathing shallow. Ethan pressed his hands against her chest, urging her to breathe. Water spilled from her lips as she coughed weakly, then sucked in a trembling breath. Slowly her eyes opened, dark, sharp, and filled with fear. She stared at him as if he were a ghost pulled from the river itself. Before Ethan could speak, the thunder of hooves echoed through the canyon. Shapes appeared along the cliffs, moving fast and silent. Apache warriors surrounded them, rifles raised, faces hard with suspicion and anger. Ethan froze, hands lifted slightly, knowing one wrong move could cost him his life. The woman turned her head toward the warriors, then back to Ethan. Her voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried weight beyond its softness. "Saved," she said, before slipping into unconsciousness again. Ethan had no idea that in that single moment, by an ancient law older than the canyon itself, his fate had become forever bound to hers. Ethan woke to the smell of smoke and unfamiliar voices murmuring around him. His head throbbed as he opened his eyes and found himself lying on a blanket near a fire. The night sky stretched wide above him. Shadows danced across stern faces, watching him closely. Apache warriors stood nearby, alert and silent, their rifles within easy reach. For a brief moment, Ethan wondered if he was about to be executed for trespassing. Then he saw her. The woman from the river sat across the fire, wrapped in thick woven blankets. Her skin had regained its color, and her dark hair was braided neatly down her back. She looked stronger now, composed, her eyes steady as they met his. There was no fear in them, only curiosity and something deeper that Ethan could not name. An elder stepped forward, his hair silver, his presence commanding without a raised voice. He spoke slowly, each word deliberate, as if being placed carefully into the air. He told Ethan that the river where he had found the woman was known among their people as the River of Passing, a place where many lives had been claimed. To be taken by it and returned was not chance. It was the work of the spirits. Ethan tried to sit up, protesting weakly that he had only done what any man would do. He said he expected nothing in return, no reward, no debt. The elder listened, then shook his head. Among the Apache, life was not saved without consequence. Breath was sacred, and the one who restored it became bound to the one who had lost it. The woman finally spoke. Her name was Nayeli. She explained that by their ancient law, a man who pulled a woman from certain death without payment became her protector in the eyes of the ancestors. Their spirits were tied not by ownership, but by responsibility and fate. Ethan felt the weight of her words settle over him like a storm cloud. He insisted he did not believe in laws that took away choice. Murmurs rippled through the gathered warriors. From among them stepped a tall man with hard eyes and a jaw set with anger. His name was Takoda. He accused Ethan of stealing what was never his, of breaking the natural order by interfering. Takoda had long sought Nayeli's hand, and the sacred law had stripped that future from him in a single moment. The air grew tense, sharp enough to cut. The elder raised his hand for silence and declared that the spirits would judge Ethan's honor in time. Until then, Ethan would remain among the tribe. As the fire crackled and sparks rose into the night, Ethan realized that saving one life had drawn him into a world ruled by traditions, older and more dangerous than anything he had ever known. Dawn crept slowly across the desert, painting the canyon walls in shades of red and gold. Ethan stood at the edge of the Apache camp, the cool morning air heavy with tension. He had not slept. The words spoken the night before echoed in his mind. Law, fate, spirits, concepts he had never believed in. Yet now they surrounded him like invisible chains. Across the clearing, Takoda watched him with open hostility, his presence radiating challenge. The elders gathered as the sun rose higher. No one needed to explain what was about to happen. Among the Apache, disputes bound by sacred law could not be ignored. Takoda stepped forward and drove a knife into the earth. Between himself and Ethan, the blade quivered, catching the light. The message was clear. This was a trial of honor. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears. He did not want to fight, but he understood what refusal would mean. He moved into the clearing, aware of every eye fixed upon him. Nayeli stood among the women, her face calm, but her hands clenched tightly at her sides. When their eyes met, Ethan saw resolve there, not fear. The fight was fast and brutal. Takoda moved like a predator, circling, striking with practiced skill. Ethan blocked and stumbled, the weight of the moment pressing down on him. Dust rose around their feet as they clashed, breath coming in sharp bursts. Takoda's blade sliced close, cutting fabric and skin, drawing blood. Pain flared, but Ethan pushed through it. Driven by something stronger than survival, the need to prove that his actions had never been about claiming what did not belong to him. A sudden misstep sent Takoda off balance. In that instant, Ethan had the advantage. He could end it with a single strike. The camp seemed to hold its breath. Instead, Ethan stepped back and lowered his weapon. He refused to take a life to satisfy a law he did not fully understand. A murmur swept through the onlookers. The elders exchanged glances. Mercy, freely given, carried great power. Takoda stared in disbelief, then dropped to his knees, defeated not by force, but by honor. An elder stepped forward and declared the judgment. The ancestors had witnessed the trial and spoken through Ethan's choice. The bond formed at the river was not one of ownership, but of respect. Nayeli walked toward Ethan, her steps steady. She stood beside him, choosing him openly before her people. As the sun climbed higher, Ethan understood that what began as a desperate rescue had become something far greater. He had crossed into another world, one where honor mattered more than blood, and where a single choice could shape the course of many lives.